to our amazing Infidelity Tales Lab family. Welcome, and thank you for joining us. Your support means the world. Quick question, where are you listening from today? Which city? Which country? Drop it below. Now, let's dive into today's story. The fluorescent lights of Mount Sinai Hospital pierced through Grant Dodson's consciousness like needles. Each breath sent waves of pain through his ribcage, 3 broken ribs screaming their protest with every slight movement. The random mugging had left its mark. Internal bruising mapped across his torso, and a concussion that made the harsh lighting even more unbearable. But Grant's military-trained mind cataloged every detail of the attack. The precise strikes, the professional stance, the calculated force meant to deliver a message rather than end a life. A nurse bustled in, checking his vitals with mechanical efficiency. "Your pain levels, Mr. Dodson?" "Manageable," Grant replied, his voice steady despite the fire in his chest. The nurse raised an eyebrow, but said nothing. She'd seen enough patients to know when someone was understating their pain, but something in Grant's steel-gray eyes told her not to push the issue. As director of cybersecurity at Global Tech Solutions, Grant had spent the past week analyzing irregularities in the company's secure servers. Small discrepancies that most would overlook, but to his trained eye, they formed a pattern. Now, lying in the sterile hospital room, those digital breadcrumbs aligned into a clear picture. The door swung open with deliberate force. Victor Davis strode in, Italian leather shoes announcing each step against the linoleum floor. The CEO's tailored suit and perfectly coiffed hair seemed out of place in the sterile hospital environment. Behind him, Javier Baird, head of operations, quietly closed the door, his muscular frame blocking the exit. "Comfortable, Grant?" Victor's voice carried the false concern of a predator toying with wounded prey. "The doctors say you'll make a full recovery." "Eventually." Grant maintained eye contact, his expression neutral. "How thoughtful of you to check on me, Victor. I assume this isn't a social call. Always direct. That's what I liked about you." Victor pulled out an encrypted tablet, his manicured fingers tapping the screen with practiced precision. "But you see, being direct can be problematic. Sometimes it's better to be flexible. Like your wife." The tablet turned toward Grant, displaying high-resolution photos. Marissa, his wife of 8 years, dressed in evening wear at Le Bernardin, the modern Daniel, New York's finest restaurants. Each photo showed her with a different man, her body language intimate, comfortable. The timestamps spanned months. "Your lovely wife has been quite the team player." Victor's voice dripped with smug satisfaction. "Keeping our investors happy, maintaining those crucial relationships. She understands the importance of personal touch in business." Grant's jaw tightened imperceptibly. "And you're showing me this because you need to understand your place." Victor leaned closer, his cologne a cloying presence. "Every board member gets their turn." She agreed to all of it, including your brother Earl. Quite enthusiastically, I might add. Javier shifted his weight, a predatory smile playing at his lips. Victor continued, "So here's what's going to happen. You'll recover, return to work, and forget about those server irregularities you've been investigating. Otherwise," he straightened his Italian silk tie, "next time you'll need more than stitches." What Victor couldn't know, what his arrogance prevented him from even considering, was that Grant wasn't merely a corporate cybersecurity expert. Behind that facade lay years of CIA operations specializing in corporate espionage and counterintelligence. The hospital room already bristled with surveillance equipment, courtesy of his private security connections. Every word, every threat, recorded and encrypted. "Message received," Grant replied, his voice carrying just the right amount of defeat. Victor's smile widened, satisfaction evident in his posture. "Smart man." Victor headed for the door, pausing briefly. "Oh, and Grant? Don't bother with internal complaints. HR reports directly to me, and our legal team is very well compensated." The door closed behind them, their footsteps fading down the corridor. Grant reached for his phone, a custom-modified device that looked identical to standard models. Within seconds, he accessed the surveillance footage, watching the entire confrontation from multiple angles. Victor's threat, his smug certainty, all captured in perfect clarity. A text message appeared on his screen, "Surveillance active." All channels recording. Jackie. Grant allowed himself a small smile. Victor Davis, in his arrogance, had just handed him everything needed to begin the dismantling of their entire operation. The physical pain felt distant now, replaced by the cold clarity of purpose. They thought they'd broken him, but they'd simply given him the motivation and evidence he needed. The nurse returned with pain medication. "Sir, you really should rest." "Thank you." Grant accepted the pills, maintaining his cover of the injured corporate executive. "I think I'll try to sleep now." As the nurse left, Grant began composing a series of encrypted messages. The pieces were already in motion, and his hospital room was about to become the command center for an operation that would make his CIA days look like practice runs. Evening shadows crept across the hospital room as Grant monitored Marissa's approach through the building's security feeds. The roses she carried deep red. Her signature choice matched the shade of her lipstick. Her Louboutin heels clicked against the floor tiles, echoing his heartbeat monitor's steady rhythm. The new phone he'd given her last month, a guilt gift, she called it, buzzed constantly in her designer purse. Each notification pinged silently on Grant's encrypted tablet, messages flowing through his custom-built interception software. Years of intelligence work had taught him patience. Now it was paying off as fragments of conversation painted an increasingly darker picture. "Just walked in. He's stable but suspicious. We'll update after." Marissa's text to Victor appeared on Grant's screen. "Keep him calm. Tomorrow's investor meeting is crucial." Victor's response followed immediately. The door opened, and Marissa swept in, performance-ready concern etched on her features. "Darling, you had me so worried." She placed the roses beside his bed, her movements practiced and precise. The diamond tennis bracelet on her wrist, not his gift, caught the fluorescent light. "Rough day at the office?" Grant asked mildly, watching her check her phone for the third time in 2 minutes. "Just some charity event planning with Faith," Marissa replied, not meeting his eyes. "You know how demanding these fundraisers can be." Grant's tablet silently displayed another intercepted message. "Dinner with Peterson confirmed for Thursday. Usual arrangement. Must be exhausting," he commented. "All those dinner meetings." Marissa's perfectly manicured fingers stilled on her phone. "The foundation requires a lot of networking. I imagine Le Bernardin's private dining room is perfect for networking." Grant's voice remained steady, controlled. "Though Daniel seems to be your preferred venue lately." Color drained from Marissa's face, but she recovered quickly, too quickly for someone truly caught off guard. "Have you been spying on me?" "Interesting choice of words," Grant replied, pulling up the photos Victor had shown him earlier. "These were courtesy of your friend Victor. He paid me a visit earlier." "You had no right," Marissa began, but Grant cut her off. "No right? To know my wife is sleeping with board members to facilitate corporate fraud." His voice carried no anger, only cold precision. "To discover my own brother is involved?" Instead of denying it, Marissa's face transformed, dropping her carefully maintained facade. "You want to know the truth? Fine. I'm a free woman, and I can do whatever I want." Her voice dripped with contempt. "You're so focused on your precious ethics, your rigid morality. Do you know how boring that is? How limiting?" And Earl? Was he limiting too? A cruel smile played across her lips. "Your brother understands ambition. He knows what it takes to succeed in this world. Unlike you, hiding behind your computers and principles." Grant's fingers moved across his tablet, executing commands that would seal her fate. "Then you're free to explain your ambitions to my lawyers." Every intercepted communication, every damning message, transferred to his secure server with a single press. "You're bluffing." Marissa's confidence wavered slightly. "Victor will destroy you, like his thugs tried to." Grant's smile didn't reach his eyes. "You should ask him about the surveillance footage I have of his visit today. Or should I send that to the board first?" Marissa's phone buzzed again. This time, Grant read the message aloud. "Make sure he stays down. Victor seems concerned about my recovery. You don't understand what you're dealing with." Marissa grabbed her purse, previous pretense abandoned. "They'll bury you?" "No, Marissa. You never understood what you were dealing with." Grant's voice carried the weight of his CIA years. "But you're about to learn." She stormed out, heels clicking furiously against the floor. Through his surveillance network, Grant watched her immediately dial Victor's number in the hallway, panic evident in her rushed movements. His own phone lit up with a message from Jackie McLean. Video surveillance archived. Starting legal preparations. Need anything else? Yes, Grant typed back. Access to Global Tech's private server room. Tonight. The response came quickly. Already done. Your brother's credentials still work. Grant settled back against his pillows, mind already mapping out the next phases of his plan. Marissa thought she was free to do whatever she wanted. Victor believed money and violence could solve any problem. They were about to discover how wrong they were. His ribs ached with each breath, but the pain felt distant now, overshadowed by the cold satisfaction of pieces falling into place. In the CIA, he'd learned that revenge was a dish best served systematically, methodically, with every contingency planned for. The roses Marissa left behind caught the last rays of sunlight, their deep red matching the color scheme of his surveillance footage. Soon, they would all learn that his principles weren't limitations, they were weapons, honed by years of covert operations and waiting for the perfect moment to strike. The night shift had settled over Mount Sinai when Grant activated his secure communication network. The hospital room shadows concealed an array of surveillance equipment, transforming the sterile space into a covert operations center. Each device had been meticulously placed during routine medical checks by staff members who owed him favors from his CIA days. His first call went to Jackie McLean. The encrypted line connected after 2 rings. I was wondering when you'd call. Jackie's voice carried the sharp edge he remembered from their agency days. Those weren't amateur bruisers who worked you over. Professional hit squad, Grant confirmed, checking the surveillance feed of the hospital corridor. Victor's getting sloppy, hiring ex-military for corporate intimidation. I've been monitoring Global Tech's financial transfers since you flagged those server irregularities, Jackie replied. They're running something bigger than simple corporate espionage. The money trail leads through shell companies in Dubai, Cayman Islands, and some interesting accounts in Switzerland. My wife's been busy. Grant's voice carried no emotion. Need you to start official proceedings tomorrow. Make it loud, make it public. Already drafted the paperwork. But Grant, Jackie paused. Your brother's involvement complicates things. Earl's signature appears on some very questionable documents. Family ties don't protect traitors. Grant accessed Global Tech's secure server through his brother's stolen credentials. Earl made his choice. He'll face the consequences. Like old times then, Jackie's smile was audible. I'll have a team ready by morning. Your hospital stay just became our forward operating base. The call ended as Grant's surveillance system alerted him to approaching footsteps. The pattern matched his brother's gait, slightly favoring the left leg from an old college football injury. Earl entered without knocking, his expensive suit wrinkled from a long day of damage control. Jesus, Grant. Earl's concern seemed genuine, but Grant noticed his right hand twitching a tell from childhood that signaled deception. These attacks on our executives have to stop. The company needs you back. Attacks? Grant raised an eyebrow. I thought I was the victim of a random mugging. Earl's hand twitched again. You know what I mean? Victor's worried about corporate espionage. These security breaches must be keeping him up at night, Grant interrupted. Almost as much as those private dinner meetings with my wife. The color drained from Earl's face. Grant, I can explain. Can you explain the offshore accounts too? Or should I ask Faith about those charity galas she's been organizing? You don't understand. Earl's voice hardened. The company was going to collapse. The investors were pulling out. Marissa, she suggested a solution, and you just happened to agree? Grant's voice carried deadly calm. My own brother. It was business. Earl straightened his tie, composure returning. Nothing personal. Funny. Grant smiled coldly. That's exactly how I see what's coming next. Earl's hand moved toward his phone, but Grant's voice stopped him. I wouldn't. Unless you want the FBI to receive evidence of your involvement in international money laundering right now. You're bluffing. Earl's confidence wavered. You don't have access? Check your email. Earl's phone buzzed. His hands shook as he opened a message containing detailed records of his illegal transactions, complete with dates, amounts, and offshore account numbers. That's just a copy, Grant continued. The originals are already secured. Walk out of here, make any calls, and they go directly to the federal authorities. What do you want? Earl's voice cracked. Nothing. The investigation is already in motion. I just wanted you to know who triggered it. Grant's monitor beeped steadily. Family ties don't excuse betrayal, brother. Earl backed toward the door, his carefully constructed world crumbling. Victor will what? Send more thugs? Launch another investigation? Grant's laugh held no humor. Tell him I look forward to his next visit. The surveillance cameras could use more footage. After Earl's hasty departure, Grant's phone lit up with a message from Jackie. Board member Peterson just booked a flight to Switzerland. Want me to flag it? Let him run, Grant replied. The net's already in place. His surveillance system captured Earl making frantic calls in the hospital parking lot. Each conversation was recorded, transcribed, and added to the growing evidence file. The pieces were falling into place faster than expected. Another message from Jackie appeared. Your sister Faith just accessed the Charity Foundation's accounts. Want me to block the transfers? No, Grant typed back. Let them all make their moves. It'll make the takedown cleaner. The night deepened outside his window, but Grant remained alert, monitoring multiple screens as his enemies scrambled to protect themselves. In the CIA, he learned that panic made people sloppy. Their desperate attempts to cover their tracks would only provide more evidence. His ribs ached, but the pain felt like a badge, now a reminder of their fatal mistake in underestimating him. They thought they were dealing with a corporate cybersecurity expert. Instead, they'd awakened something far more dangerous. A trained operative with nothing left to lose and everything to avenge. The night shift nurse peeked in, concerned by his lack of sleep. Grant gave her a reassuring smile, maintaining his cover as the recovering executive. But behind that smile, plans unfolded like a deadly chess game, each piece moving precisely into position. Tomorrow, the real operation would begin, but tonight, he would watch them squirm, knowing their world was about to implode and they had no idea how deep the destruction would go. Over the next month, Mount Sinai's Room 407 transformed into an operational command center disguised as a recovery ward. Medical equipment shared space with encrypted laptops and surveillance monitors, their wires concealed within standard hospital machinery. Grant's extended recovery provided the perfect cover as staff rotated through, many of them former intelligence assets, now embedded in civilian roles. Your sister's been busy. Jackie McLean's voice came through a secured line as Grant reviewed financial documents on his tablet. Faith's charitable foundation is a masterpiece of money laundering. $50 million through fake galas in the past year alone. Grant's fingers moved across the screen, tracing transaction patterns. Show me. The New Hope Foundation's latest event. Jackie shared her screen remotely. 200 guests at $10,000 per plate. Except the venue only held 50 people, and half the listed attendees don't exist. Faith always did excel at creative accounting, Grant noted, his voice devoid of familial warmth. What about Loren? Your golf buddy at the SEC? Jackie pulled up another file. He's been accepting regular payments through a shell company in Dubai. Every time Global Tech faced an investigation, Loren buried it. The paper trail goes back 3 years. A nurse entered one of Jackie's plants, carrying fresh bandages and a USB drive disguised as a medicine bottle. Your sister's complete communication records, she murmured, changing his bandages. And Mr. McMahon's offshore account details. The company's not just using Marissa for simple corporate espionage, Jackie continued after the nurse left. They're running a sophisticated blackmail operation. Your wife and Faith target potential whistleblowers, create compromising situations. Then Victor's team handles the pressure. Grant accessed a new set of files. Show me the full scope. 3 rival tech firms silenced in the past year. 2 journalists who got too close to the story suddenly retracted their investigations. A dozen potential whistleblowers who mysteriously changed their minds. Jackie's disgust was evident. Faith arranges the galas. Marissa handles the seduction. And your brother Earl provides legal cover through dummy corporations. Family ties don't excuse betrayal. Grant's response carried lethal coldness. A message flashed on his secure phone. One of his surveillance teams had spotted Victor entering an upscale restaurant with another executive's wife. The camera feed showed Marissa at a different table, working her charms on a potential investor. "Your wife's with Thomas Chun," Jackie reported, CEO of Rival Tech. "They're considering a merger." Not for long. Grant accessed Chen's personal email through a backdoor he'd installed weeks ago. Send him the photos from last month's charity event showing Victor with his wife. Already done. Mrs. Chun receives them in 3 hours. Grant's physical therapy session, another cover for operative meetings, brought new intelligence. His sister Faith had scheduled another gala for next week, the guest list packed with potential targets. Marissa's calendar showed 3 dinner meetings with board members who had previously expressed concerns about the company's finances. "They're getting sloppy," Jackie noted during their evening briefing. "Victor's paranoia about federal investigations is making them rush their usual vetting process." Good. Grant reviewed the latest surveillance footage. "How's our friend Loren handling the pressure?" "Nervous. He's made 3 calls to his offshore banker today. Should I let him transfer the funds?" "Let him run." Grant's smile didn't reach his eyes. "The FBI's Financial Crimes Unit is already monitoring that account." A text from one of his hospital sources caught his attention. Victor had ordered another message to be delivered. The hired muscle was en route. Right on schedule, Grant checked the surveillance feeds. "Alert our FBI contact. Let's see how Victor's thugs explain the drugs planted in their vehicle." As night fell over Manhattan, Grant's command center hummed with activity. Screens displayed surveillance feeds from across the city. Board members in clandestine meetings, Faith organizing her fraudulent galas, Marissa weaving her web of seduction and betrayal. "Your sister's laundering operation goes deeper than we thought," Jackie's voice carried concern. "She's using the foundation to funnel money through children's charities." "Use it," Grant's command was precise. "Alert the Charity Oversight Board." Anonymously, the night shift brought fresh intelligence. Earl had been spotted shredding documents in his office. Faith was transferring large sums to new offshore accounts. Victor's paranoia grew with each passing day, his own surveillance teams watching shadows that Grant's operatives planted. "They're starting to turn on each other," Jackie reported with satisfaction. "Board members are asking questions about missing funds. Funds have been moving between their accounts," Grant confirmed. "How's Victor handling the pressure?" "Sleeping in his office. Convinced federal agents are watching him. They will be." Grant accessed another secure server. Soon, the hospital room's machines beeped steadily, maintaining his cover as reporters occasionally tried to sneak past security for quotes about the recent corporate attacks. Each failed attempt added credibility to his recovery story. "Jackie," Grant's voice carried deadly purpose, "initiate the next phase. It's time to let them destroy themselves." In the CIA, he'd learned that patience was more lethal than any weapon. Now, watching his enemies dance to his carefully orchestrated tune, that patience was about to pay off. "They thought they could take everything," he told the night nurse, another operative updating him on surveillance data. "Instead, they gave me everything I need to destroy them." The command center screens flickered with new data, each piece of intelligence another nail in Global Tech's coffin. The investigation had revealed depths of corruption beyond even his initial suspicions, but Grant's cold smile showed no surprise. They'd chosen their paths. Now, they would face the consequences. Grant initiated his counterattack with surgical precision from his hospital command center. The late-night glow of multiple screens illuminated his face as he accessed Marissa's compromised phone, his fingers dancing across the keyboard with lethal purpose. "Time to let them taste their own medicine," he murmured, crafting personalized messages to each board member. To Richard Maxwell, head of finance, hints about Victor embezzling pension funds. To James Sullivan, senior vice president, evidence suggesting Earl was cooperating with federal investigators. Each message carried just enough truth to make the lies believable. "Their paranoia is reaching critical levels," Jackie reported through the secure line. "Maxwell just withdrew $10 million from the company's emergency fund. Using credentials I planted on Victor's personal laptop," Grant confirmed, monitoring the digital chaos unfolding. "Sullivan's already called 3 emergency meetings with legal." His surveillance feed showed Victor pacing in his office at 3 a.m., phone pressed to his ear. "What do you mean, Maxwell? Accuse me of theft." Victor's voice carried barely contained panic. "I want those files traced. Find out who's accessing our systems." Grant's trap was springing perfectly. Each board member received slightly different versions of the same alarming news, each crafted to maximize suspicion and distrust. Through Marissa's phone, he sent seemingly misdirected messages about internal betrayals and federal investigations. "Sir," one of his operatives disguised as a nurse entered with fresh intelligence. "Victor's mobilizing another team. Same group that handled your mugging. Right on schedule." Grant accessed his FBI contacts secure channel. "Is the package in place?" "The drugs are planted in their vehicle," the agent confirmed. "Strike team, standing by." The surveillance feed showed Victor's thugs approaching the hospital. Their confidence lasted exactly 3 blocks before FBI vehicles boxed them in. The anonymous tip about drug trafficking had been perfectly timed. "Victor's watching the arrest through his office window," Jackie reported with satisfaction. "He's calling Earl in a panic." Grant activated the recording devices in Earl's office just as his brother answered. The conversation was everything he'd hoped for. "What do you mean they found drugs?" Earl's voice shook. "Those were our best cleaners." "Shut up," Victor hissed. "The feds are probably listening." "They weren't," Grant smiled coldly. "But I was." The next phase initiated automatically. Board members began receiving evidence of financial misconduct, each seemingly leaked from another member's email. Grant had spent weeks crafting the perfect trail of digital breadcrumbs, using their own compromised credentials. "Maxwell just accused Sullivan of stealing the pension funds," Jackie updated. "Sullivan's threatening to reveal Victor's offshore accounts." "Send the next package," Grant commanded. "Let's see how Faith handles evidence of her charity fraud appearing on her own foundation servers." His sister's reaction exceeded expectations. Faith's panic calls to Earl revealed more than she intended, each word captured by Grant's surveillance network. "The donation records are public." Faith's voice carried pure terror. "Everyone can see where the money really went." "Check your other accounts," Earl advised, his own panic evident. "Victor's been moving funds." "That wasn't Victor," Faith cut in. "I tracked the transfers. They came from your terminal." Grant watched the betrayers tear each other apart, their years of trust evaporating under carefully orchestrated pressure. Victor's paranoia reached new heights. He'd begun sleeping in his office, convinced federal agents were watching his every move. "They're not watching you yet, Victor," Grant murmured to the surveillance feed. "But soon." A message from his FBI contact flashed. The drug bust had yielded unexpected benefits. Victor's thugs, facing serious charges, started talking about other jobs they'd handled for Global Tech. "Send copies of their statements to all board members," Grant instructed Jackie. "Except Victor. Let him wonder why everyone's looking at him differently." The company began fracturing from within. Board members called emergency meetings only to accuse each other of theft and betrayal. Victor's attempts to maintain control only fueled suspicions that he was behind the chaos. "Your wife's getting nervous," Jackie noted, monitoring Marissa's communications. "She's reaching out to other board members' wives." Perfect timing for them to receive evidence of her dinner meetings with their husbands. Grant's voice carried cold satisfaction. "Let's see how those social alliances hold up." The trap was springing perfectly. Each attempt by the conspirators to save themselves only entangled them further in Grant's web. Their own paranoia and greed became weapons against them. "Victor's called an emergency board meeting for Tuesday morning," Jackie reported. "Full attendance required." "Then it's time for the final phase. Grant access to secure server. Alert our federal contacts." Tuesday morning, they see everything. The hospital room's machines continued their steady beeping, maintaining his cover even as he orchestrated the destruction of an empire. His injuries had healed weeks ago, but the extended recovery provided the perfect blind spot for his enemies. "Sir," his night nurse operative entered with fresh intelligence. "Mrs. Davis just received proof of Victor's affairs with 3 board members' wives. Courtesy of Marissa's photo collection," Grant nodded. "How's Victor handling the divorce papers?" "Complete meltdown in his office. Security cameras caught him throwing a chair through his window. The pieces were falling perfectly into place. Each betrayer's desperate attempts to save themselves only served to destroy their colleagues. Their own tactics, turned against them, proved devastatingly effective. Tuesday morning, Grant confirmed to Jackie, "Have the federal team ready. It's time they all learned what real consequences feel like." The Manhattan skyline glittered beyond his window, unaware that one of its corporate towers was about to implode. Grant's revenge wasn't just about destruction, it was about justice served cold, calculated, and complete. Rain lashed against Global Tech's windows on Tuesday morning as board members filed into the conference room. Victor had demanded full attendance to address the internal security breach, unaware that he was walking into Grant's carefully orchestrated endgame. Security cameras showed Earl arriving first, sweat staining his expensive suit despite the cold. Faith followed, clutching her laptop like a shield. Board members trickled in, each avoiding eye contact with the others, their usual camaraderie shattered by weeks of planted evidence and mutual accusations. "Everyone's in position." Jackie's voice came through Grant's earpiece as he approached the building. FBI teams covering all exits. SEC Fraud Division standing by. And Marissa? Grant adjusted his tie, the first he'd worn since the hospital. Front row seat, as requested. She arrived early with Victor. Thunder cracked overhead as Grant entered the lobby, flanked by federal agents. Jackie McLean walked beside him, her heels clicking against marble with predatory purpose. The security guard one of their plants nodded as they passed. Victor's voice carried through the conference room door. "Once we find the leak, we'll contain." Grant pushed open the doors. Silence crashed across the room like a physical wave. 24 faces turned, expressions ranging from shock to terror as federal agents filed in behind him. "Gentlemen," Grant's voice carried throughout the stunned room, "I believe we need to discuss some irregularities in the company's operations." Earl bolted first, making it 3 steps toward the private elevator before finding it locked down. Faith's fingers flew across her laptop, desperately trying to delete files. "I wouldn't bother, sis." Grant nodded toward the main screen. Faith's keystrokes appeared in real time, her deletion attempts broadcasted for all to see. "Every tap is being recorded. This is a private meeting." Victor stood, attempting to project authority. "Security, your security team is currently explaining their recent drug trafficking charges to the FBI." Jackie smiled coldly. Fascinating what people admit when facing federal time. "You can't prove anything." Victor's confidence wavered as agents began distributing documents. "These records are authenticated by 3 independent forensic accountants." Grant cut him off. "Your offshore accounts make interesting reading, Victor. Almost as interesting as the surveillance footage from my hospital room." Color drained from Victor's face. Behind him, board members flipped through evidence packets, each discovering their own damning trail. "The Charity Foundation transfers," Faith whispered, horror dawning. "How did you access your records?" Grant finished. "The same way you arranged those fundraising events. Though I have to admit, using children's charities as money laundering fronts was a new low." Marissa stood, her designer dress a splash of crimson in the gray room. "You don't understand what you were doing?" Grant's voice carried Arctic chill. "Seducing investors to cover fraud? Blackmailing whistleblowers? Or just sleeping with board members for profit?" "Including your own brother," Jackie added, making Earl flinch. Victor lunged suddenly, his composure shattering. His attack ended with him face down on the conference table, Jackie's heel pressing into his back as federal agents read him his rights. "You're making a mistake," Victor spat, handcuffs clicking shut. "Our lawyers will already be facing their own indictments," Grant finished. "Amazing what evidence appears when you follow the money." Around the room, agents moved with practiced efficiency. Faith's laptop was seized, her trembling hands raised as agents read her rights. Board members sat frozen, watching decades of corruption unravel in minutes. "The SEC has questions about those buried investigations," Jackie informed Loren McMahon, who tried slipping toward the door. "Your offshore accounts are particularly interesting." Marissa approached Grant, her mask of confidence cracking. "I can explain. Save it for your lawyers." Grant stepped past her. Though with the evidence of your willing participation, I doubt they'll help much. Earl made one final attempt. Brother, please. Family ties don't excuse betrayal. Grant's voice carried throughout the room. Remember that during your federal trial, thunder rumbled as agents led the conspirators out. Employees gathered in the hallway, watching their leaders fall. Grant's surveillance feeds showed the scene repeating across global tech offices worldwide. Federal agents are seizing servers from every branch, Jackie reported, satisfaction evident. Their entire network of corruption is exposed. Rain continued falling outside as Grant surveyed the wreckage of careers and relationships built on betrayal. Victor struggled against his restraints, all pretense of sophistication gone. Faith sobbed quietly as agents cataloged evidence from her laptop. Earl stared blankly ahead, his world imploding. The press is waiting downstairs, Jackie noted. Want to make a statement? The evidence speaks for itself. Grant watched Marissa being led away, her designer dress clashing with steel handcuffs. Let them face the consequences of their choices. As federal agents completed their sweep, Grant stood at the conference room window. Below, news vans gathered like vultures, cameras flashing as the conspirators emerged into the rain. His reflection showed no satisfaction, no triumph, only the cold certainty of justice served. The board members' spouses have all received their evidence packages, Jackie confirmed. The social destruction should be. She smiled, comprehensive. Lightning split the sky as Grant turned from the window. The conference room, once the seat of global tech's corruption, now stood empty save for overturned chairs and scattered papers fitting ruins for an empire built on betrayal. Your sister's foundation records are already reaching the charity oversight board, Jackie added as they headed for the elevator. Faith's social empire won't survive the day. Good. Grant's voice carried finality. Let them all face the truth they tried to bury. The rain washed away their footprints as they exited the building, leaving behind the wreckage of carefully constructed lies and the architects of their own destruction. Thunder echoed like applause for justice finally served. The Wall Street Journal's headlines screamed across newsstands nationwide. Tech giant's criminal empire exposed. Within hours, every major news outlet carried the story. CNBC's ticker ran continuous updates as global tech's stock price plummeted. Bloomberg analysts scrambled to explain the unprecedented collapse of what had seemed an untouchable corporate titan. In the federal building's secure conference room, Grant watched the chaos unfold across multiple screens. Each monitor showed a different aspect of global tech's implosion: live news coverage, stock tickers, social media reactions, and security feeds from global tech offices worldwide. Victor's lawyer just contacted us. Jackie entered, tablet in hand. He's offering to testify against Earl in exchange for leniency. Grant's laugh carried no humor. Play the recording. Jackie tapped her screen. Victor's voice filled the room, captured months ago in Grant's hospital room. Every board member gets their turn. She agreed to all of it, including your brother Earl. Send that to the prosecutors, Grant directed, along with the financial records showing Victor's signature on every major fraudulent transaction. The evidence was irrefutable. Thousands of documents, recorded conversations, financial records, and testimony from turned witnesses created a web of corruption that reached every corner of global tech's operations. Mr. Dodson, a federal prosecutor, entered with fresh papers. Victor Davis is requesting a private meeting. He claims he can provide evidence of larger conspiracies. Show him this first. Grant handed over a thumb drive. Every email he sent authorizing the blackmail operations. Every transfer he approved to offshore accounts. And of course, the surveillance footage of him ordering my accident. On the main screen, CNBC's anchor could barely contain her shock. Global tech shares have been halted after falling 94% in early trading. Federal agents are currently seizing servers and documents from global tech offices across 3 continents. Jackie's phone buzzed. Singapore office just fell. Tokyo and London are next. The dominoes are falling exactly as planned. In a federal holding cell, Victor paced like a caged animal. The security feed showed him arguing with his lawyer, his typical smugness replaced by desperation. Earl's legal team reached out, Jackie reported. They're claiming he was coerced. Send them the recording of him planning the charity fraud with Faith. Grant's voice remained steady. And the footage from his office where he coordinated Marissa's meetings with investors. The evidence mounted hourly. Each attempted defense by the conspirators only exposed deeper layers of corruption. Grant's meticulous documentation left no room for legal maneuvering or deals. Federal agents just found the private servers in Victor's beach house, an FBI agent reported. The encryption's complex, but use this. Grant handed over another drive. Complete decryption keys, courtesy of my time as their cybersecurity director. Every file, every hidden folder. CNN broke new developments. Sources confirm federal agents have uncovered evidence of widespread blackmail operations targeting rival tech firms. Global tech executives allegedly use compromising situations to silence potential whistleblowers and manipulate market conditions. In his holding cell, Victor finally broke. Security footage showed him screaming at his lawyer. Tell them Earl masterminded everything. He used his brother's position as insurance. I was just following board directions. Should we release the footage of him ordering your attack? Jackie asked. Not yet. Grant checked another monitor. Wait until after his testimony. Let him perjure himself first. The federal prosecutor returned, looking impressed. The evidence is staggering. We've never seen documentation this comprehensive. 8 years at Global Tech, Grant replied. Every day spent gathering evidence, tracking transactions, recording conversations. They thought they were watching me. I was watching them. Trading floors worldwide descended into chaos as Global Tech's collapse triggered investigations into partner companies. Stock tickers ran red as the contagion spread through the tech sector. Sir, an FBI analyst rushed in. We found something in the Tokyo servers. A secondary blackmail operation targeting Asian markets. Page 247 of the evidence package. Grant responded without looking up. Complete documentation, including dates, targets, and Victor's personal instructions. The afternoon brought fresh revelations. Global Tech's legitimate assets faced immediate seizure. Subsidiary companies scrambled to distance themselves. Partners and clients fled, terrified of being caught in the expanding investigation. Your documentation is bulletproof, the federal prosecutor admitted. Victor's lawyers can't find a single weakness to exploit. They won't. Grant's voice carried absolute certainty. Every piece of evidence has triple verification. Every recording includes metadata proving authenticity. Every financial record shows clear chains of authorization. As evening approached, the full scope of Global Tech's collapse became clear. International markets reeled. Regulatory agencies worldwide launched investigations. The company's market value had evaporated in hours. Grant, Jackie paused at the door. Victor's asking to speak to you directly. Says he can explain everything. No need. Grant stood, straightening his tie. The evidence explains itself. Let him face the consequences of his choices. The screens continued their display of corporate destruction, a testament to revenge, served cold, calculated, and complete. Global Tech's empire, built on betrayal and corruption, crumbled under the weight of truth. Send copies of everything to the international prosecutors, Grant instructed. Let's make sure there's nowhere left for them to hide. The Manhattan socialite scene buzzed with whispers as Marissa Dodson entered Le Bernardin, her designer dress a shield against the stairs. Her practiced smile faltered when the maitre d' blocked her path. I'm sorry, Mrs. Dodson. Your membership has been revoked. Behind her, phones captured her humiliation. By midnight, every social club in New York would close its doors to her. In her penthouse apartment, she frantically dialed numbers that went straight to voicemail. Each charity board, social committee, and foundation she'd cultivated over years sent the same message. Resignation requested, effective immediately. You can't do this to me, she hissed into her phone, leaving her 10th message for Victor. I did everything you asked. Her phone buzzed, not a return call, but a news alert. Her blood froze as she read the headline. Global Tech Executive Wives Escort Service. Corporate seduction ring exposed. Across town, Faith Klein watched her PR empire disintegrate in real time. Client termination emails flooded her inbox. Her carefully crafted web of influence unraveled with each passing hour. Miss Klein, her assistant interrupted, voice shaking. The Children's Hope Foundation board is on line 1. They're asking about the missing funds. Faith reached for her phone, but the screen displayed a more urgent message. Federal agents en route. Warrant issued. At the SEC, Loren McMahon's secretary watched him clean out his desk. The Ethics Committee's decision was unanimous, sir. Disbarment proceedings begin next week. Tell them I can explain. Loren's hands trembled as he packed his belongings. The offshore accounts were just... Your testimony about those accounts is scheduled for Monday. A federal agent stepped in. Along with your role in burying the global tech investigations. A private airfield outside Newark. Earl Dodson hurried toward his chartered plane, carrying forged documents and account details received through their mother's compromised email. Going somewhere, brother? Earl froze. Grant emerged from the shadows, federal agents flanking him. The passport's fake. Grant approached slowly. But then, that's the least of your charges. You don't understand. Earl backed away. Victor threatened to expose your role in the investor blackmail scheme. Grant's voice cut like steel. Or your coordination of Marissa's entertainment schedule. Handcuffs clicked shut as Earl's escape ended before it began. Back in Manhattan, Marissa's attempt to spin a victim narrative backfired spectacularly. Grant's evidence release showed her actively planning targets with Faith, coordinating seductions, selecting marks for blackmail. Mrs. Dodson. Reporters swarmed as she fled another closed door. Comment on the recordings of you planning executive seductions? Her phone buzzed again. This time, surveillance footage of her meeting with Faith, their casual discussion of targeting specific executives playing across her screen. Destroy him, her recorded voice echoed. I don't care how many men I have to sleep with. The Young Women's Leadership Coalition stripped her chairmanship. The Metropolitan Museum revoked her patronage. Each social pillar she'd built crumbled under the weight of exposed truth. Faith's fall proved equally dramatic. Clients fled not just from scandal, but from evidence of systematic fraud. Her PR expertise turned worthless as her own reputation imploded. Your sister's foundation records went public, Jackie informed Grant. Every fraudulent transaction, every laundered dollar exposed. And the children's charities she exploited? Restitution ordered, plus federal charges for charity fraud. Loren faced his own destruction. The SEC investigation revealed years of buried evidence, bought silence, strategic oversights. His golf club membership, once his pride, revoked. His legal career ended not with retirement, but disgrace. Each conspirator's personal world collapsed uniquely. Country club memberships canceled. Social circles evaporated. Charitable organizations purged their names from donor lists. They're trying to contact each other, Jackie reported, looking for ways to coordinate their stories. Release the next batch, Grant ordered. Let them see how they betrayed each other. Private emails exposed Faith undermining Marissa. Recordings revealed Marissa plotting against Faith. Each piece of evidence showed their alliance built on mutual exploitation, now crumbling into mutual destruction. Earl's arrest made headlines. Global tech executive caught fleeing country. His attempt at escape added another layer to his charges, another depth to his disgrace. In their separate cells, the conspirators faced isolation. Their phones went silent. Their influences evaporated. Their carefully constructed social empires collapsed into ruins. Your wife attempted to access the Hampton House, Jackie mentioned. The one she used for private meetings with board members? Grant's smile held no warmth. I'm sure the new owners will be interested in her visit. Each hour brought new revelations, new humiliations. Private clubs posted their photos on denied entry lists. Charity galas returned their donations. Social circles closed ranks, erasing years of carefully cultivated connections. They thought their social status would protect them, Grant observed as another society publication detailed their fall. They never understood that reputation, once destroyed, doesn't return. The personal destruction proved as complete as the corporate collapse. Each conspirator faced not just legal consequences, but social annihilation. their world of influence and privilege shattered, leaving them alone with the weight of their choices. "Sir," Jackie entered with fresh reports. "Their attempts to contact each other have stopped. The isolation is complete." Grant nodded, watching surveillance feeds of their separate falls. Let them experience what they inflicted on others. Sometimes social death proves harsher than prison. Manhattan Supreme Court hummed with tension as Grant watched Marissa's divorce proceedings unfold. Jackie had ensured the prenuptial agreement stood ironclad, its infidelity clauses particularly devastating. "Your Honor," Marissa's lawyer attempted one last defense. "My client acted under duress." "Exhibit 47, Jackie interrupted, projecting a recording. Marissa's voice filled the courtroom, discussing target selection with Faith. "The dumber they are, the easier to manipulate. Pass me the investor list." The judge's gaze hardened. "Motion denied. The prenuptial agreement stands." Security escorted Marissa from the penthouse that evening. Her personal belongings fit in 3 designer suitcases, all she'd owned before marriage. The rest, including her carefully curated jewelry collection, remained with Grant. At Rikers Island, Victor received his sentence: life imprisonment for racketeering, attempted murder, and corporate fraud. His final attempt to appear powerful died as guards led him away. "Remember who you're dealing with," he shouted at Grant. "I do," Grant replied calmly. A convict serving life. Each board member's spouse received personally curated evidence packages. Grant's final act of revenge triggered a cascade of divorce filings across Manhattan's elite circles. The Thompson divorce finalized this morning. Jackie reported from their new office overlooking Central Park. "That's the last board member's marriage destroyed. And the offshore accounts? Seized. Every dollar they hid, tracked, and confiscated." The New York Times business section detailed Global Tech's dissolution. Legitimate assets sold to competitors. Thousands of innocent employees transferred to stable positions. Grant's precision had ensured only the guilty suffered. Faith's plea deal guaranteed a decade behind bars. Her attempt to leverage PR connections failed against overwhelming evidence. "A fair sentence," the prosecutor remarked to Grant. "Though your sister's charity fraud deserved more." Earl faced 20 years. His choreographed breakdown during sentencing impressed no one, especially after Grant released footage of him celebrating successful blackmail operations. Lauren's disbarment completed his professional execution. His golf clubs gathered dust as he prepared for his own federal indictment. The headline stacked on Grant's desk told the story. Global Tech conspirators sentenced. Tech industry's biggest scandal ends in justice. Corporate seduction ringleaders imprisoned. Jackie entered his office, a new contract in hand. Rival Tech needs a security consultant. Someone who understands corporate espionage from the inside. Interesting timing, Grant signed the papers. No trace of his ordeal showed in his steady hand. Their regular restaurant, 11 Madison Park, provided a fitting backdrop for their victory dinner. The same establishment where Marissa had entertained board members now served as their celebration venue. "How does freedom feel?" Jackie raised her glass. "Complete," Grant surveyed. "They chose their paths. I simply ensured they faced the consequences." His phone displayed one final update: Marissa's booking photo from federal custody. Her attempted victim narrative had collapsed against evidence of enthusiastic participation. "I freed her from our marriage," Grant remarked. "Now she's free to do whatever she wants from a prison cell." The evening news crowned their victory. Justice served in tech industry's biggest scandal. Reporters detailed penalties, prison terms, asset seizures, professional deaths. In his new office, Grant reviewed the aftermath. Global Tech dissolved its corrupt core excised from the industry. Victor serving life. Earl facing decades. Faith imprisoned. Marissa reduced to nothing. Jackie arrived with fresh opportunities, companies seeking protection against similar schemes. Grant's experience made him uniquely valuable. The sun set over Manhattan as they planned their next ventures. The past lay settled, the betrayers punished. Ahead stretched possibilities unmarred by deception. To justice, Jackie proposed. To consequences, Grant corrected, his smile carrying the satisfaction of vengeance perfectly served. Beyond the windows, New York continued its eternal dance. But in boardrooms and prison cells across the city, the architects of their own destruction faced the quiet truth. They'd underestimated the wrong man. The final headline said it all. Globaltech falls, a lesson in corporate justice. Grant closed the newspaper. Chapter finished. Story complete. Victory absolute. Ready for the next challenge? Jackie asked. His answer carried no hesitation. Always. Epilogue 5 years later. The maximum security wing of Bedford Hills Correctional Facility bore little resemblance to the luxurious Manhattan penthouses Marissa Dodson once called home. Her designer wardrobe replaced by prison orange. Her manicured hands now rough from mandatory labor. 5 years into her 15-year sentence, the former socialite's attempts at early release had been repeatedly denied. Through the reinforced glass of the visitors' area, Jackie McLean observed her former opponent's deterioration. Her quarterly checks on key players in the global tech case served both professional duty and personal satisfaction. Still claiming duress? Jackie asked the prison administrator. Monthly appeals, he confirmed. The evidence you provided ensures automatic rejection. Surveillance footage showed Marissa's daily routine. Isolation from other inmates who despised her involvement in children's charity fraud. Her commissary account remained empty. The prenuptial agreement's infidelity clause had left her destitute. Across the river at Sing Sing, Victor Davis occupied a cell block reserved for long-term inmates. His attempts to maintain his executive demeanor had crumbled under the weight of prison reality. Multiple inmates had recognized him from the charity fraud scandal, their own children among the victims of his schemes. Davis tried organizing a prison consulting business, the warden informed Jackie, until other inmates discovered his role in exploiting children's charities. He spends most time in protective custody now. The quarterly reports painted a consistent picture. Victor's appeals denied. His attempts at reducing his life sentence rejected by every court. His former connections proved worthless in a system immunized against corporate influence. Earl Dodson's medium security facility in Pennsylvania represented a different kind of fall. 15 more years remained on his sentence, each day marked by the knowledge that his own brother had orchestrated his downfall. Prisoner Dodson requested another family visit last month, his caseworker noted. Let me guess, denied? Jackie reviewed the file. Mr. Grant Dodson's standing order remains unchanged. No contact. Faith Klein's minimum security prison stint offered little comfort despite its lighter restrictions. Her PR expertise counted for nothing as former clients testified against her. 5 more years awaited her, each day bringing fresh news of her dismantled empire. Your sister maintains her weekly therapy sessions, the rehabilitation coordinator informed Grant during his annual review of the cases. Though her attempts at launching a prison consulting practice were denied, Loren McMahon's post-disbarment life unfolded in a small New Jersey apartment, a far cry from his former Manhattan residence. Weekly check-ins with his parole officer replaced power lunches. His golf clubs gathered dust while he worked as a minimum wage data entry clerk. The beauty of complete justice, Jackie remarked during her monthly briefing with Grant, lies in its permanence. Grant's own trajectory had soared. His security consulting firm, Phoenix Securities, dominated the corporate protection industry. Companies worldwide sought his expertise in preventing exactly the kind of scheme he'd dismantled. Their new offices occupied the top floors of a Manhattan skyscraper, ironically, the former Global Tech building. Grant's corner office overlooked the city where he'd orchestrated the perfect revenge. Rival Tech's merger went through, Jackie, now his chief legal officer, reported. Our security protocols prevented 3 attempted corporate espionage operations last quarter. The headlines still occasionally referenced the Global Tech scandal, usually when discussing corporate governance reforms. Grant's expose had triggered international changes in corporate oversight. The Dodson protocols became standard terminology in corporate security. Companies worldwide implemented his preventive measures against similar schemes. Marissa's attempted prison interviews with journalists backfired spectacularly. Each request triggered automatic release of more evidence recordings, emails, surveillance footage showing her willing participation. Prisoner Dodson's latest manuscript was rejected by publishers, Jackie noted with satisfaction. Apparently, Victim of Corporate Conspiracy loses impact when contradicted by video evidence. Victor's own literary ambitions died similarly. His attempted tell-all biography attracted only lawsuits, each backed by Grant's meticulous documentation. Earl's prison correspondence with their mother ceased after discovering Grant's ongoing surveillance. His isolation grew complete, abandoned by family, forgotten by former associates. Faith's therapy sessions revealed deep resentments. Her attempts to rebuild connections failed against the weight of her documented betrayals. Former clients refused contact, her professional reputation permanently destroyed. The Children's Hope Foundation recovered fully, Jackie updated Grant. Your anonymous donations replaced every stolen dollar. They've named their new integrity division after you. Lauren's attempt at writing financial advice columns ended when publishers discovered his identity. His expertise, once highly valued, now served as a warning in ethics seminars. The social destruction proved permanent. Country clubs maintained their bans. Charitable organizations strengthened their vetting procedures. The conspirators' names became synonymous with corporate corruption. 5 years, Grant mused, reviewing the latest reports. Their sentences continue, while we've expanded to 3 continents. Phoenix Securities' client list included former global tech competitors, each implementing Grant's security measures. His reputation for integrity attracted companies seeking protection against corporate predators. Jackie's legal team had grown to 50 attorneys, each specializing in corporate defense. Their track record remained perfect. No client ever fell victim to schemes like Global Tech's. The system you designed, Jackie noted, has prevented 12 similar operations worldwide. Their preventive measures had evolved into international standards. Corporate security firms studied the Global Tech case, implementing Grant's methods globally. The conspirators' futures remained bleak. Marissa faced 9 more years of imprisonment, followed by lifetime financial ruin. Victor would die in prison, his appeals exhausted. Earl's release in 2039 promised only isolation and monitoring. Faith's eventual freedom in 5 years offered little hope. Her skills rendered useless, her contacts evaporated, her future limited to minimum wage positions under strict oversight. They chose their paths. Grant reminded Jackie during their anniversary dinner, celebrating Phoenix Security's success. We simply ensured permanent consequences. The evening news still occasionally showed Marissa's booking photo when discussing corporate scandals. Her fall from grace became cautionary tales in business ethics courses. Victor's prison interviews served similar educational purposes. His attempts at justifying his actions only strengthened corporate governance reforms. Earl's prison correspondence revealed growing psychosis, paranoid beliefs that Grant still monitored his every move. His therapist noted the irony. The paranoia was justified. Faith's rehabilitation reports showed superficial progress. Her therapy sessions revealed unchanged attitudes, ensuring continued monitoring after release. Complete justice requires permanent consequences, Grant explained to a corporate security conference. Prevention isn't enough, the punishment must outlast the crime. Their success grew annually. Phoenix Securities expanded into cybersecurity, preventing digital versions of Global Tech's schemes. Each victory added to Grant's reputation. The conspirators' futures stretched bleakly ahead. Marissa's beauty faded under prison conditions. Victor's health declined in isolation. Earl's mind fractured further. Faith's bitterness deepened. Revenge served cold, Jackie observed, preserves longer. Grant's new marriage to Sarah Chun, CEO of a legitimate tech firm, drew society coverage. Their partnership combined corporate security with technological innovation. The future stretched bright before them, while their enemies faced decades of consequences. Justice, served methodically, proved eternally satisfying. The best revenge, Grant told his corporate clients, lies in ensuring your enemies have decades to regret their choices. Manhattan nights still glittered, but now they watched from the pinnacle of success. Below, in scattered prisons, their enemies served as warnings. Betrayal brings consequences that time only strengthens. The final quarterly report summed it perfectly. Subjects show no rehabilitation potential. Recommend continued maximum monitoring. Justice served permanently. Grant closed the file with satisfaction. The past lay settled, the future secured, and between them stretched decades of consequences for those who dared betray him. To permanent justice, Jackie raised her glass at their regular celebration dinner. To lasting consequences, Grant corrected, overlooking the city where he'd orchestrated the perfect, permanent revenge. The city lights glittered like justice crystallized beautiful, eternal, and absolutely final. And there you have it. Another story comes to an end. What did you think? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoy this story, consider joining our community by subscribing. It means the world to us. For more stories like this one, check out the recommended videos on screen. And I'll see you there.